What's up? My name is Anthony Parker, and after I play my interlude, we will be coming back and talking with my main man, Chris. So y'all hold tight. Let me play my interlude. That's right. We're on live. We're gonna get this thing done one way or another. What's up to y'all? What's up to y'all? What's up, y'all? What is happening? What the business is? What the deal is? What's happening? I got a very exciting interview for y'all today. I will be going to the West Coast. Anybody out there want to take a trip with me, or y'all welcome to come? I love the West Coast. They say the West Coast is the best coast, but down south is where it's at anyway. Anyway, let me get into my little um, interlude. Welcome to Third Eye Visions, where we motivate the blind, stimulate your mind, Craig, and welcome all kind. From sighted to visually impaired, the Chris Williams story. Now, look, I talked to Chris last night. He is very ready to tell his story, and it is an interesting one indeed. So, with that being said, y'all, please hit that subscribe button. Hit that notification bell so that you can be in the nizzo. That's no for y'all who don't know. That's Snoop Dogg type talk. And hit that like button, comment, and share. So, without further delay, because we're going to get this baby started, let me bring on Chris to the show. Before Chris, what's happening?
Hey, what's up, Al?
Chris, is that the best greeting that I can get from you, man?
What's up, y'all?
That's what,
Chris,
there you go.
aka C-Dub. What's up from Seattle, Washington?
That's what I'm saying. See that you hit that y'all, that's that down south. That's that down south way of us in it. So you got a little down south in you, man. You've been living on the West Coast your whole time?
Yeah, I have. My mom was born though in Rhode Island, so that's where she came from. So we got a lot of this, like the eastern and south. We have people in Kansas and everything as well.
Okay. Well, before we jump off into your business, tell the people about, because this is a collaboration. Tell them about your YouTube channel, what they can expect on your YouTube channel, and the name of it, and all that good stuff.
Oh yeah, for sure. So everyone, my name is Chris Williams, aka C-Dub, a name I got a while ago. It was actually my writer name when I was in fight clubs, stuff like that. Well, my channel is called C-Dub's Blind Life. You can look it up that way, or you can look it up under C-Dub Williams. So my channel is about pretty much my story from going from starting actually at my visual impairment, doing all the things that I loved doing when I was sighted, but still doing them now, building cars, motorcycles, and all that stuff. And you can find on my channel a lot of inspiration for us visually impaired and for us sighted to, like help you think about something from different perspectives. That's what I try to do, is make you think outside the box. People get a lot down about what's going on in their lives, but the problem is most of the time you're way too close to it to see a different angle of it to find out how to better it.
Okay, so definitely, y'all go check out my man's channel, man, because it's all about collaborating. Give them the channel name again one more time, C-Dub.
Yeah, so it's C-Dub's Blind Life. So C-D-U-B apostrophe S Blind Life. Or you
Okay.
can look it up under my name, C-D-U-B Williams.
Okay. Now, Chris, you are visually impaired. That's correct.
Yes, sir.
Now, before you had lost some of your sight, or before you lost a great deal of it, how was your life like before this happened? Tell us about what you used to do and things of that nature.
Yeah, so I mean, my life, from I won't go back too far, but as far as I remember, I loved being a people person. I was always, out and about. When I was old enough to go clubbing, I went clubbing. I knew bar owners. I kicked it, partied, got a little more serious about life and career later in my late 20s, might as well call it my 30s, and then, from there ended up, meeting my wife at age 32. We have a beautiful kid together, and I rode motorcycles. I was in a couple of different motorcycle clubs. I love bikes. I love cars. I love to travel, and I love traveling on two wheels. I did like a 4,800-mile trip. On my butt. Like from here around the western side of the West Coast, and so bikes. That was like pretty much like my life besides my family.
Okay. Now, as far as working and whatnot, you were telling me something that you did when I spoke with you last night about the
Yeah.
job that you had. Tell us about that.
Yep. Yeah. So I didn't get to finish tell you. I didn't get a chance to tell you the whole story. But anyways, I worked at this company from about '07 to '09, and then over dumb decisions, I left, and then I went back to this company in 2013, and I worked at this company. It was a Fortune 500 multi-billion-dollar company in plumbing supply, and I worked there. Started off when I went back in 2013 as just a regular worker doing receiving put away, and then I ended up leaving there as being the supervisor of the receiving department.
So, Fortune 500 company. Now, tell me, how was it like? Coming from someone who was, taking care, the breadwinner, quote unquote, the man of the house, doing what you're supposed to do, and realizing that you can't do that anymore. To realizing that the life changes that you had as it relates to losing your sight. Talk to us about that.
Yeah, that was probably honestly like one of the hardest realities I had to come to because like my wife, she wasn't a very good driver. I ain't gonna lie. She didn't like driving. I did all the driving. She worked on my way to work, so I drop her off, pick her up on the way home. Like every time it came to driving, I drove. I have a great sense of direction. I love to drive, so I did all the driving. I made way more money than she did, and we had just bought our house in December, of 2016, and when I pretty much started losing my sight was 2018. So it was really hard to realize that it had been like about a year. I started losing my sight, wondering about all these what ifs. We ended up buying a brand new car in December 2017, and then 2018 comes January, and I'm like, how are we gonna pay for this brand new car? I still have a bike payment, and it was really depressing. It was really hard.
Okay, and that's why I want to set it all up to let everybody know what you used to do, what your life was prior to
Yep.
you realizing that. So, with that being said, go more into detail how mentally, where were you at that time? Because you had stated that you, if you don't mind me saying, that you were real depressed at
Oh
some time,
yeah. Oh
at
yeah.
one point in time. Before you, yeah, tell us about that. Saying how were you at that point in time mentally?
Yeah, so I mean, a year after, yeah, mentally, a year after I was diagnosed in 2017, I was diagnosed in April 2017. The whole year, I'll skip right through. I was able to see, had a couple surgeries, no big deal. 2 weeks after each surgery, in my right eye, I was able to go back to work. They said that my right eye was looking kind of good. I had silicone oil in it. They wanted to pull the oil out. I developed the cataract, so they changed the lens out. They gave me an artificial lens. So that was like surgery number 3.
Mhm.
Took the oil out. A week later, back to work. They said the left eye is looking horrible. We need to do surgery right away. So they went in a week after my right surgery. So surgery number 4 was on the left eye for the first one, and they peeled too much retina off with the scar tissue. So essentially, since January 2018, I haven't worked. So from there, like they said, well, now your right eye is getting worse. So they had to go back in and take the lens off they put on, and I had a detachment in it. So they just left it. And I'm like, well, what's the plan going forward? Like, what do we do? And they were like, well, we feel like we've done all we could do. And it was really hard for me to accept that. And I'm like, no, this can't be it. Like, what do we do? I have to get back to work. My mind state is that, I make the money in the house. I got to get back to work. What's the deal? And they're like, well, we'll monitor it. So I got depressed for like, couple weeks, didn't want to talk, didn't want to go out of the house. And then I was like, you know what? No, I'm going to beat this. So I went back to the gym, started working out. I started juicing for about a month, trying to make my diabetic stuff better. If you're familiar with A1C and diabetic stuff, I went from a 7.2 down to a 6.2, which is a tremendous drop. I lost like 40 pounds in like almost 40 days. And so, I'm like, yeah, I feel good. You know what? They can redo the surgery and I'll be good to go. Well, I went back to the doctor and they're like, well, there's still nothing we can do. I'm like, what do you mean there's nothing you can do? And so, I got really, really depressed and I was like, man, this isn't working. Went and saw a couple of doctors. They said the same thing, nothing they can do. And so I contemplated suicide. It was hard for me to get to that point because I've always been the one saying, hey, like life isn't that bad. Don't do this to people. And here I am in that boat. So, now I don't ever say stuff like that because it's really, really, you can't understand till you've been there. So I understood now. I'm like, okay, you know what? Like, nah, dude, don't give up. Keep fighting. So I went about a month later and saw 6 doctors within the course of like 2 weeks. And they all said the same thing. And I'm like, okay, now it's kind of over. I'm starting to feel like really, really down on myself. Like suicide was still there, but I'm like, you know what? My life is ruined. And honestly, I kind of choke up every time I say it. I feel like this doctor did it to me. So you know what? He ruined my life. So I'm not going alone. And it was really hard to get to that point in my life where I was like, all right, man, I'm going to take this dude's life. So I literally thought about it. Like, you know what? Like they called and said, hey, you should have an appointment coming up on this day. And it was going to be on a Tuesday. And I'm like, okay, that's fine. And this was on like a Wednesday to give me a reminder. And I'm like, all right, you know what? I made a plan. I'm like, you know what? I was really big gun enthusiast. I unloaded one of my weapons, took out every bullet except for 3. And I'm like, he's getting 2 and I'm taking 1. And that's how it's going to end. And there's going to be a long note. This is what's going to happen. He took my life. He did a careless job. So he needs to suffer. And that's how I felt about it. And so, I was planning this like all out in my head. I'm like, okay, this is how it's going to go. And then Friday, I got a phone call from his office and they were like, hey, this is Chris. This is so-and-so doctor. I'm like, yeah. And he's like, well, I'm supposed to see you on Tuesday because, doctor, so-and-so said that he wants, he's not going to be in or something like that. And I'm like, well, I wanted to see him. So, when's the next day he's going to be in? Pretty much like, all right, well, you can see him on this day. But we actually went and we contacted another doctor and he really wants to see you. And I'm like, okay, well, he's like, can we give him your number? I'm like, yeah, it's fine. So I'm thinking like, okay, you know what? I'm not going to see this doctor before all this happens. So it doesn't matter anyways. Well, 2 hours later, his office calls me and they're like, hey, this is so-and-so, like doctor, wants to see you really bad. Like he hears about your case and he wants to see you. I'm like, well, what day are you thinking? They're like, this coming Monday. I'm like, oh, okay, Monday. Well, okay. And I'm like, still in the back of my head, like, okay, if it doesn't work, then I'm still going through with it, like whatever. So I went and saw this doctor and it was the first doctor that listened to me. I'm like, hey, I really feel like if you do this, it'll work. Like I'm telling you right now, I'll just do it. I'll just stay home, relax, and everything should be fine. He's like, well, you know what? Your right eye is actually in really good shape. It's shallowly detached. I want you to think about all you could possibly ruin if I do the surgery, but I can do it. So why don't you go home, think about it, and come back in 2 weeks and tell me. And I was like, oh, I was kind of shocked. I'm like, okay, well, here he is telling
Pause
me
for a second.
that.
Hold on. Okay, go ahead. He's outside, y'all. Go ahead.
Yeah. Okay. Yeah. Sorry, guys. So yeah. So he's like, well, hey, think about it. I'm like, wow, this is the first doctor out of like 8 doctors in the last month that have said, hey, I can do it. Think about it. So, during this time, I got a call back from a low vision specialist that made a contact from my right eye because they took off the lens. So essentially, you can see, but you can only see shapes and shadows. You can't see description because you have no lens. So I went in and got that. He put it on, and I went from seeing 20 over 300 to 20 over 70s, which is a huge difference. So I'm like, okay, the right eye feels like, I can handle this, maybe it'll get better later on. So the left eye actually had come detached under silicone oil, which is only 1% of the cases actually happens that way. So mine did. And so, I went back in 2 weeks later and I'm like, hey, well, what do you think about doing the left eye? Because he asked me about doing the surgery. I'm like, well, honestly, maybe you should leave the right. What about the left? I feel like there's nothing to lose there. If we get sight back, great. If not, then there's nothing there anyways. And he's like, you know what? That's a good idea. So we did the left. And even with all the damage that the other doctor did, he got me back so much sight. And it just really made me like think like, wow, okay, like, it's just, I'm just amazed at how great the work he did. Because I even went back and saw the doctors after that at the other place, and they're like, we can't believe how great of a job he did, because this is something like, I consider myself a great surgeon, but this is something that even I couldn't do. And it really kind of made me feel a bunch of different emotions. So I was like, okay, I'm just done with this place now.
Okay.
And
So with that being said, and there's a question I want to ask you as we take a break. What um I mean, you were talking about your depression. So at that point in time, when did you when did you start feeling a sense of you know uplifting that you were no longer depressed anymore? Was it because when you started to get your sight back at that time, or what happened?
no, it actually took me honestly from, and this was like, I saw this doctor. He did my surgery, as my new doctor, June 2018, in my left eye. It literally took me, I want to say, maybe until about May 2019 to stop feeling kind of feeling that way. I didn't feel like depressed along the point of I wanted to like hurt myself anymore because
Mm.
I thought I started thinking more about my son. I got to be here for him regardless, even if I can't see. I got to be that example, and so it got me to that point, but it still got me to the point where I'm still depressed. I can't do the stuff I wanted to do. I can't ride my motorcycle. I can't drive. I can't go to work right now because I got to relearn the skills to do that without sight. So it took a good year and a half after that to kind of get me to where I was and where I am now.
And that's what I want to ask you, because I mean, learning to deal with life with a sight loss, or you have some vision,
Yeah.
was a new thing to you. So, what did you have to learn all over again in terms of the things that you knew before then? What did you have to learn, and how was it for you? Was it easy, or tell us how it was?
Oh no, it was really hard because I mean, like for me, I was raised by single mom with 6 kids. She was very strongly independent. She had her health problems, but she always just made it look like it was nothing. And when that started happening to me, I was like, I don't know how she did it for so long. And it was really hard for me to like adapt and take the fact that I have been so independent, helping other people, whether it be mentally, financially, emotionally, like physically, like it was hard for me to like, you know, realize that I have to start depending on other people to do this. Like I've been, like I said earlier, I've been the driver in my family for, like me and my wife met in 2011. I was driving, about 60 miles every day to see her. And then we finally, got married and stuff. And then I still did all the driving. So it's really hard for me to adapt to be on someone else's time. And
Yeah, that's
honestly, to be honest with you, it's still hard for me to adapt to that.
But I like just from listening to you. I like your spirit, the fact that how you're talking about it. You're not coming across as anyone has pity for himself or anything of that nature. And that's why that's what I like about you. And also the fact that want to say something. Also the fact that
Oh,
you're doing something that's remarkable and building cars and whatnot. You want to talk a little bit about that, and then also when you do, tell us about the analogy, the association with that, as far as with
oh
being
yeah.
blind and building a car, which you told me yesterday.
Oh yeah, for sure. So I mean, like I said, I was always into cars. I was really into bikes. Like most people that ride motorcycles, they kind of transition from the fast sport bikes. Like I love doing wheelies on the freeway and had a little kid next to me in the car seat, like, oh look at him. That was me. I like to entertain people. So I went from that to riding Harleys. Like loud stereos on my bike. Just blaring down the street when I'm riding. Then all of a sudden I can't do that anymore. And it was right after high school, '98. I'm not old, so I
Wait,
was
stop,
really
stop,
into the
stop, stop, stop.
Hondas.
The feed. Hold on a
Yeah.
second.
Oh, sorry.
We're trying to wait till the feed get better because I definitely want to hear this. Move around a little bit for a second. Let me see if I can get a better
Oh,
feed.
yeah. Okay.
Go ahead. Say something.
Okay. Yep. Good.
Okay, yeah. So you say you went from popping willies and impressing little kids and what have to not really being able to do that anymore. What happened? Go ahead.
Oh yeah. So I mean, I went from like riding those kind of motorcycles, like doing wheelies, to riding Harleys. Loud music and just cruising.
Mm,
So and that was bikes were always my love, but before that, it was cars. I graduated '98. I'm old, so back in
mm,
my day, like Hondas and Acuras were, they were the thing to be. Like we were doing Fast and Furious street races before Fast and Furious,
mm,
so that was always what I was into, and so fast forward now to 2019, when I know I'm not going to be able to ride anymore. I had to sell my bike, which was hard to do. And so to occupy my time, because throughout this time, I didn't say either. In 2018, I lost my dad. And then 2019, I lost my mom. So It was really hard. I had to find something to, you know, to get me through it because it's hard, to like, like, okay, well, I want to do this, I'm gonna do that, and now I had a reason to do it. So, I got my first car since I was in my site 2018. I let it sit, finally finished it and completed it before my dad passed away, and then I sold it. And I'm like, you know what, the car I have now, I want to do this one up 100%, like to the full. So I told myself, you know what, take your time, finish it, and take your time. So I got it, and I ended up finishing it completely about a month ago. I gave myself a year. I got it in 2019. So I got it done faster than I planned on doing, which I'm very happy about. And so what I'm going to do to it is later on, obviously, it's like, I can't drive, I can't see now, but it will be drivable for someone that is blind or visually impaired. That's all I can tell you right now. You got to watch my channel later on to find out about the rest of the details. But, for me, finishing the car, it wasn't just finishing the car, because a car is just a car to people. But to me, it was just the comparison is, you know what? I have this just in my way, this humongous hurdle, this humongous obstacle. Like, I'm going to make myself overcome it. I don't care how I do. I don't care how high I have to jump to get over this hurdle. If I have to get a ladder and climb over, I'm going to do it. So I made myself do it. And hey, I mean, the finished product, is behind me. It's done. It's running. And a blind guy, put it together. And that to me is just moving. And that's why I bring to my channel is that, I can do it. I'm a regular guy. I'm not a celebrity. I'm just a regular guy. I'm living it. I've been through it. I'm here. If I can do it, you can do it.
Man, hey, I'm gonna close on that note because I love the energy. You don't really have to say no more. I wanna stress the fact that I enjoy your energy. I'm for real. I enjoy your energy. The fact that
Thank you.
you have gone through this, and then and it's not for the sake of the audience or anything like that. It's just the fact that you're talking about it and just you all happy about it still, even though you've lost the sight that you do have. You still have some. You're still doing what you have to do, and that's what it's all about on this channel.
Exactly.
This is not a pity channel. It's not for a person to feel down about anything. I'm bringing the inspiration, and you definitely have brought a great deal of inspiration and what have you.
Thank you.
Before I close, I want to tell you again, thanks for coming, and tell the people the name of your channel and what have you, and we'll close after that. So give them the name of the channel.
Okay, well, thank you so much. Like, honestly, I appreciate you having me here. Come back anytime. So the name of the channel is called C-Dub's Blind Life. If I'm wearing my shirt, I think you can see it. I had a YouTube sweater made. And I want to thank, honestly, right now, my sponsor. She ships worldwide. If anyone ever needs anything, it's called Andy & Co. LLC.com. So Andy with an I, and then CO LLC. She makes any kind of sweatshirt, t-shirts, whatever you need. They'll cover you and use promotional name CDUB C-Dub for 10% off.
Okay. Hey, again, man, thanks a lot for coming on the channel, man, and thanks for your inspirational story. And as the music play, I'm gonna say to my audience, thanks for viewing, thanks for subscribing. And with that being said, you have any questions before I leave?
Oh, I'm good. They say whenever you want me back, you let me know. I love to come back.
I definitely wouldn't tell you what. Thanks for watching your kid for us for a second.
Oh yeah, for sure.
All
Okay.
right. Thanks a lot, man. You take it easy.
All right, you too. Thank you.
Okay. All right.
All right.
All right, y'all. Let me get this straight. $27. Okay. Let me get this straight. Thank y'all for tuning in. Very interesting. Very interesting show. I really am glad that y'all tuned in. Thanks, Jose. Thanks, Tawanda. Anyone would like to be on the show, y'all let me know. Again, my name is Anthony of Third Eye Visions, where we motivate the blind, stimulate your mind, and welcome all kind. I guess that's it, y'all.